Hi, dear friends and vinyl fans, how do you do? Today we talk about Stylus Tracking Force, its importance, and how to measure and calibrate it. That little stylus sits in the vinyl grooves and reads the information. The cartridge manufacturer, in developing the cartridge, has realized a set of figures for the ideal Stylus Tracking Force that users should use when they set up the cartridge to play the vinyl records. Stylus Tracking Force should never be ignored. Unnecessary wear of the vinyl grooves occurs if Stylus Tracking Force is beyond either side of the recommended SDF range. Here we are talking about gram per micron area of contact, and thus, if the Stylus Tracking Force is bigger by 0.1 gram, it would translate to a big increase in pressure exerted on your vinyl grooves. On the other hand, too small a Stylus Tracking Force will mean that the stylus will not be able to sit in the grooves properly and thus will be loosely bumping about sideways. This will damage the grooves. Of course, you will also hear distortion and less than ideal sound quality. Too light or too heavy a Stylus Tracking Force changes coil interaction with the magnets within the cartridge and affects sound quality. The cantilever suspension compliance is designed by the manufacturer, and too heavy a Stylus Tracking Force will also wear it out earlier. Now that we know the importance of a correct Stylus Tracking Force, let's get to work. Quick terminology. This is the head shell, the tone arm shaft, the Q lever mechanism, the counterweight, and the Stylus Tracking Force adjustment knob that some models provide. I'm now using a Reggaeton arm for demonstration. First, turn this knob to the 0 mark. After which, fit on and push in the counterweights all the way. And very important, remove the platter mats always. This is to prevent the stylus from accidentally catching onto the mats later. Dear friends, see this? Do you know why the tone arm keeps swinging to the right? This is because the anti-skating is not set to 0 and the tone arm will keep pulling sideways to the right. This is not just cumbersome later, as we want to lower the tone arm onto the digital gauge. This will also affect the accurate measurements of the Stylus Tracking Force. Thus, remember to set the anti-skating to 0. Here, you can see that when the anti-skating is 0, the tone arm correctly drops downwards vertically. Now we can start calibrating. See here, the tone arm is dropping readily downwards. This means that the Stylus Tracking Force is not 0, and thus we need to push the counterweights backwards a bit. We try again. Okay, the tone arm is still pushing downwards and not floating in mid-air. Thus, we need to adjust again. Now, the tone arm floats up too much and hits the upper limit. Thus, we adjust the counterweight forward a bit. Okay, this time the tone arm is floating in mid-air, and thus, the knob now will correctly correspond to a Stylus Tracking Force of 0. Now, we can dial the knob to SDF of 1.75 grams. Tape the platter down, or else the platter will be moving about precariously and your digital gauge can knock onto and damage your sensitive stylus. Place the digital gauge on the platter and home in the stylus onto the designated weighing area or point. 1.734 grams, a bit too light. You can either adjust the counterweight forwards or dial the knob by a small degree of turn. Slightly heavier than required. This time, I adjust the counterweight backwards a bit. Okay, bingo, 1.751 grams. Now we can enjoy our music. You can apply the same basic principles shown earlier, in setting up the Stylus Tracking Force of various tone arm models in the market. Thank you friends, and see you again!